in these 5 phases that you will have to walk through. You have to walk through each phase, otherwise you don't actually get to the next one. Inside of chaos, well, essentially there's no structure. Okay, inside of clarity, you've got a bit of structure. You know what you need to do, but you don't know quite how to do it yet. So you know the theory, but you don't have any experience. You haven't walked the walk. In burnout, you're starting to apply your new tactics, I suppose, inside your life, your new strategies, but you have this dichotomy between you wanting to move forward and having to do this extra stuff, but balancing that with your responsibilities. The phase after that is capacity. So you create more capacity to move forward, and then you have control. So once you've created more capacity, you have control. Now, look, in reality, it'd be nice if you could just sweep on right through, but this isn't the case. What ends up happening is most of the time, a mum will be here, right? And she'll kind of want to move forward, but she'll consume more information. And when something doesn't work for her, she'll consume some more information. And it's a kind of natural tendency to want to find the magic pill. I use magic pill liberally. I mean, this could be anything. It could be the magic answer. It could be the magic strategy. It could be the magic anything. But quite often this mum will be looking externally. Okay, she'll be looking for something to save her rather than saving herself. The second stage there then is clarity. Now, this is the hardest stage to actually get to, believe it or not. Excuse my poor drawings. But in this stage here, mum's realized there's no magic pills. She's done the chaos loop enough to kind of be a little bit more realistic about her goals, about what she needs to do to get to her goals. She knows it's not going to be easy and that she's going to have to grow to move forward. Okay, and this is clarity. Now, most of you inside this inner circle will be at least at clarity, but it's within clarity that you still struggle with a little bit of self-belief. You struggle with, well, is this what I really want? Is this realistic for me? Am I going to be able to do it? Right? And you have all of these questions and self-doubt. And this is where you need support the most. You need support the most because going through phase 2, 3, and 4 is where you're going to grow the most. Okay. So in phase 3, burnout, this is kind of like imagining you're on a run and you've only ever run 5Ks, but today you want to run 10. You get to that 5K mark and you look at your watch and your 5Ks is ticked over and you're like, oh, this is really hurting me. My lungs feel like they're on the floor. My legs, they're heavy. It's like I've got cement blocks on my feet. You're in pain. You've achieved a reasonable goal. You've gotten to a point that you've been before, but you don't quite know what is on the other side just yet. Okay. So you need to push through. And it's in this burnout phase where you can quite easily fall all the way back to chaos. And I've seen it happen time and time again. Clients who work for 6 months, forget their why, and they just throw their hands up in the air because the goal's too hard or the progress isn't coming quick enough, all of that stuff, right? So it's in this phase that you do need the most support possible. And that's why we've got the weekly temple calls. That's why we've got the hot seats, because they're going to get you clear. They're going to get you clear on you not wanting to be here anymore, right? We're going to get you clearer here, and then we're going to get you to push through here. Okay, and I'm going to have you consider that you'll go through a few rounds of burnout, right? It's not something you just go through once. Anytime that you want to increase this capacity over here, you need to go through burnout to actually increase it. It's part of life. It's like lifting weights in the gym. One week you can lift 20 kilos and you reach 10 reps. The next week you're challenged to reach 22 kilos. And you might reach 8 reps. You don't get those 10 reps because you've got to earn those 10 reps. So you have to do it another week to get to that 10. Okay. So the same thing goes here. You don't increase this capacity unless you go through the fire, the flame, and you figure out what skill sets and mindsets you need to develop to get to capacity past burnout. Okay, so I'll give you an example. The mum that has 2 kids under 2, and she's gotten clear, but she's starting to reach a point of burnout. Okay, she knows she needs a food prep, but the kids are crying on the floor at 5 p.m. There's no food in the fridge, and she just wants to grab some takeout. Okay, it's in that moment there where she's got a choice. She can either continue playing with phase 1, 2, and 3, or she can increase her capacity. How can she increase her capacity? Well, in the moment, she might get the takeout. But in that moment, she says to herself, okay, clearly I don't have enough food available. So I need to become more planned and prepared with my food. I need to make sure there's more there. So what I'm currently doing isn't cutting it. Maybe I'm having 10 meals in the fridge and I need 20. So what she does then is she develops the mindset that her bottom line is to make sure that there's 20 meals in the fridge at all times and to never let the fridge run down. It's kind of like driving around in your car. And I'm one who doesn't like the fuel tank to go under a quarter of fuel. Okay, I don't run it all the way to the red light. Sometimes it does, and it makes me so anxious, especially if I'm driving somewhere at a distance. So I do like to fill up my car before it gets too low. And the same thing goes with your fridge. Think of your fridge as a fuel tank. Is that fridge full of fast, delicious nutrition, or are you resorting to being reactive? Okay, are you reactive and making poor decisions as you go? And it's here where you start to increase your capacity, because you have that conversation with yourself that I've talked about before, where it's kind of like, well, this is what I need to do to move to the next step. Do I want this? Yes. This is why I want this. Cool. I've got enough motivation now to move forward, right? And then finally, and this is the last phase. Okay, and this one probably takes the longest to develop. So you could actually find yourself in burnout, in the burnout game, going from being burnt out to increasing your capacity to being burnt out, and to again increasing your capacity. But once you do work at this for long enough, you get to a point where you no longer need an event to work towards. You no longer need somebody telling you what to do. You no longer need a really good reason why, because you've worked on all of this, okay? And all of that is just ingrained in you. And that's where you start to gain control. That's where you have that clear field kind of syndrome, where you look back and you're like, why did I find that so hard? Right? Why did I ever find that so hard? Because when you're in the trenches or when you're in the forest and you can't see the forest from the trees, it looks like there's no way out. But once you break through, you look back and you're like, wow, I did that. And it's all so easy now. And that's control. When you can get to a point where you just eat and you just exercise because it's part of life. As you lead your family, they adopt the habits that you've adopted, and it's all symbiotic. It all works together. It all flows.